Before Egypt raised its pyramids, before pharaohs carved their names into stone, before history decided who would be remembered and who would be erased, another civilization was already here. It did not arrive suddenly. It did not announce itself with legends or monuments meant to impress outsiders. It did not claim to be the beginning. It simply existed. It lived in rhythm with the land, with the Nile's pulse, with the sky's slow turning. It built when others were still learning how to settle. It shaped stone before crowns were symbols of power. It understood authority not as domination, but as harmony between land, belief, and order. And then one day it vanished, not consumed by fire, not destroyed by flood, not defeated by war. It vanished through something far more effective: silence, careful silence, organized silence, historical silence. What you are hearing is not myth, it is not speculation, it is not imagination, it is archaeology, it is carbon dating, it is stone buried beneath sand and time. Because the ancient world did not begin in Egypt. That is simply the story we inherited. And stories, like empires, are chosen. For centuries, the world has been taught a single version of the past. That civilization rose suddenly along the Nile, complete, brilliant, unmatched. That Egypt appeared fully formed, as if history itself had chosen one starting point and erased all others. But civilizations do not appear from nothing. They are built slowly, layer by layer. Knowledge passed from generation to generation, beliefs refined, systems adapted, power learned. Civilization is not born, it is inherited. And beneath Egypt's polished temples, beneath its precise hieroglyphs and iconic monuments, lies a deeper layer. Older stones, older alignments, older ideas. A foundation rarely mentioned, rarely mapped, rarely explained. Travel south along the Nile, beyond the familiar temples, beyond the postcard version of history, beyond the museums that quietly repeat the same beginning. There, half buried beneath centuries of sand and neglect, stand structures that should not exist. They do not fit the timeline we were taught. They do not fit the narrative of sudden Egyptian brilliance. Their stonework is rougher, but heavier. Their geometry, simpler, but older. Their purpose, less decorative, but deeply intentional. They are aligned to the sky, positioned with astronomical awareness, placed with rules that predate dynasties and crowns. And the most unsettling truth of all, they came first. Carbon dating confirms it, stratigraphy confirms it, the soil itself preserves the sequence, the land remembers what people forget. Long before dynasties were numbered, before crowns became standardized, before Egypt declared itself eternal, a powerful culture thrived here. It watched the stars not as superstition, but as order. Its sacred sites followed solstices. Its monuments tracked the movement of the heavens. Its architecture reflected a belief that power came not from force, but from alignment. This was not decoration. It was governance. Animals were carved into stone, not for beauty, but for meaning. Lions symbolized command. Rams embodied legitimacy. Serpents represented renewal, protection, continuity. These were not gods yet, they were ideas of rule. And this civilization made a choice that would echo through history. It did not worship kings, it created them. The idea that a ruler could stand between humanity and the divine did not originate in Egypt, it was adopted. The belief that land itself could choose authority, that certain places held sacred power, that leadership was sanctioned by cosmic order, all of this appears earlier, here. This civilization crowned rulers not only by blood, but by alignment, with land, with sky, with belief. Egypt inherited this system, refined it, expanded it, perfected its symbolism, and then claimed it. That is where the tension begins, because if Egypt learned, then Egypt was not first, and history does not like that. As Egypt expanded north and south, it absorbed more than territory, it absorbed memory. Symbols were renamed, gods were reimagined, stories were rewritten. What existed earlier was reframed as influence. What laid the foundation was labeled primitive. What came before was pushed aside to protect the illusion of originality. This process was subtle and devastating. Later historians, writing under empire, colonial rule, and academic hierarchy, reinforced the same narrative. They needed a clean beginning. A single source of greatness, a story that placed civilization where they expected it to be. Anything that contradicted that vision was inconvenient, so it was minimized, ignored, or quietly removed from textbooks. But stone does not lie. Temples older than Egyptian temples stand further south along the Nile. Burial traditions appear there first. Royal iconography emerges there earlier. Even the pyramids, those icons of human achievement, were not sudden miracles. They evolved from earlier funerary forms, from older sacred architecture, from experiments in stone that history rarely credits. This does not diminish Egypt, it explains it. Great civilizations do not rise in isolation, they rise on the shoulders of those before them. Then came conquest. Egypt rose, and after Egypt, Assyria, Persia, Rome. Each empire rewrote the past to suit the present. Each wave pushed earlier memory deeper into shadow. Cities were abandoned, languages faded, names became dangerous because memory is power. To acknowledge this civilization would mean admitting that Africa's deepest knowledge did not begin where museums point, but where they rarely look. So the ruins were labeled provincial, the temples called influenced, the civilization reduced to a footnote. But influence flows from older to newer, not the reverse. Egypt was not the source, it was the heir. This is how erasure works, not through destruction, but through silence. When something is not mentioned, it begins to disappear. When it is not taught, it becomes unbelievable. When it is ignored long enough, it becomes invisible. Today, tourists walk past these ruins without understanding them. They photograph stone without knowing its weight in history. Yet the land refuses silence. Every excavation reveals more. Every uncovered wall raises the same question. Why were we never told this? The answer is uncomfortable. Because history was not written to tell the full truth. It was written to preserve hierarchy, and this civilization, older, African, sophisticated, did not fit the story the world wanted to tell, so it was buried. But buried does not mean gone. Stone waits, land remembers, truth returns. What you have heard is not an attack on history, it is a correction, not revisionism, recovery, a reminder that the ancient world is deeper, older, and more complex than the version we inherited. And once you see that, the past will never look the same again.